Storyside presents Kopi, Puffs and Dreams. Narrated by me, Rishi Manuel. Chapter 1. The Spark. Dread, threatening to burst like a delicate ulcer and overwhelm Puthu, felt like the only constant from that moment on. Conversation often swirled around him, sometimes in crashing waves and occasionally in gentle laps. He wasn't particularly good at it, but he listened. As a child, he had occasionally traded information for an extra sweet at mealtimes, or for the marbles with blue swirls that he liked. Now he stood quietly in the shadowed space between the door and the barred window. He had, over the course of several years, become adept at tiptoeing around and listening to his parents and siblings. Not that he had to use this skill often. Being the youngest of 9 children had brought the realization that his parents rarely ever spoke to him. But they were happy to talk around him and at him. It mattered little to them if he was in the room. Their parenting sensibilities and caution had been dulled by years of watching themselves around his 4 brothers and 4 sisters. But this was different. This conversation was actually about him. And it so rarely was. He must go. How can we send him? He is 19. He has yet to start a life here. He will lose our caste. He will have no life here, you foolish woman. And his caste will not save him from those who call him a pervert. But people will ask why we sent him. Why would we send a boy of marrying age so far away? Get him betrothed to that daughter of your friend. The next ship leaves here in 10 days. I will go tomorrow and put his name down. We shall tell people the boy wanted to travel and see the world. He can come back in a few months and get married. People will forget. What if they don't want to give the girl to us? After what's happened? They will. And they probably would. Puthu's family was reasonably wealthy. Even a much younger son was a decent catch. He moved away from the door as he heard the conversation tapering off, replaced by the sounds of his mother's soft sobs. He felt despair. He had thought this year, 1902, was when his life would change. The turn of the century had brought a sense of possibility. For the first time ever, his father seemed open to the possibility that Puthu might study further, even go to university. He had always dismissed the idea previously. Investing too much in a youngest son was financial imprudence. He needed to be married off and settled, taught to not crowd his brothers or expect too much of his parents. But his grandfather, feeble as he now was, had planted the idea in his son that an educated Puthu was more likely to move away to a bigger city, perhaps work in a government job. His father saw the potential in that. It would be useful to have a son in government, especially a shrewd one, who wasn't much for hard physical work in any case. A son who was so little like him, or his brothers, who unnerved him slightly with his opacity. Puthu looked down at his hands. Despite scrubbing them, there was soot under his fingernails. His knuckles were scraped raw. His eyes still stung. The air was still heavy with the smell of wood smoke. The place where the shed had stood smouldered, spitting the occasional spark. It was a very warm May, always a hot month. This year had been hellish in Palakkad and the surrounding districts, and much drier than it usually was. People predicted a poor monsoon, a subpar paddy crop, and fires. Puthu hadn't been able to sleep for the last few weeks. He had to go to the kiln each day, where the heat was intolerable. He listened to his brothers discuss the customers and the deliveries. Mostly, he helped his father with the paperwork. He was good with numbers, with letters. Better than his brothers, who never really bothered to read anything properly. He wasn't much good at supervising the labourers. The men never seemed to take him seriously, and their boisterous camaraderie left him feeling excluded. And doing paperwork meant he could stay indoors and be within close range of the boy with the fan who stood near his father. But the days dragged endlessly, and each night he came home tired.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?